October 1793. A revolutionary prosecutor stands in a Paris courtroom and points directly at Marie Antoinette. He calls her the reason France is starving. The crowd watching the trial doesn't question him. They already believe she's guilty. Because for years France had been told a simple story, that while the country suffered, the Queen was partying in Versailles, that while families struggled to buy bread, she was buying diamonds, and that Marie Antoinette was the reason France collapsed. You've probably heard the most famous example. When the French people had no bread, she supposedly said, "Let them eat cake." There's just one problem. She never said it. But by the time anyone realised that, it didn't matter. France didn't need the truth. It needed a villain. And Marie Antoinette had already been chosen. Marie Antoinette was 14 years old when she arrived in France. 14. She had been sent from Austria to marry the future King Louis XVI. To diplomats, it was a political alliance, a marriage designed to secure peace between two rival empires. But to many people in France, it meant something else. An Austrian inside the French throne. Austria had been France's rival for generations, which meant suspicion came easily. People whispered she would manipulate the king, that she would secretly favour Austria, that she was loyal to the wrong country, she barely spoke French, she barely understood the court. But the rumours had already begun, and Versailles would make them worse. Versailles wasn't just a palace, it was a spectacle. Thousands of nobles lived there. Every movement of the royal family was watched, every dress, every jewel, every celebration. The court ran on visibility. The more attention you attracted, the more power you appeared to have. Marie Antoinette adapted quickly. New gowns, extravagant hairstyles, private parties with nobles. Inside Versailles, it was fashion, status, entertainment. But outside the palace walls, France was beginning to struggle, and every new diamond she wore made Versailles applaud. While in Paris, it looked like an insult. By the late 1700s, France had a financial disaster building. Decades of wars had drained the treasury. The government was drowning in debt. Taxes crushed ordinary citizens, while nobles and clergy paid almost nothing. Then the harvest failed. Bread prices exploded. Workers in cities spent most of their income just trying to eat. Families stood in long lines for food. Anger began spreading everywhere, and this is where something very human happens. When systems fail slowly, people rarely blame the system. They blame the most visible person in the room. Marie Antoinette had the most visible face in France, so the blame began shifting toward her. Soon pamphlets flooded Paris, cheap newspapers, political cartoons, rumours spreading faster than facts. They said the Queen gambled fortunes away. They said she drained the treasury. They said she cared more about jewels than the people she ruled. One nickname spread everywhere: Madame Deficit, the Queen who bankrupted France. In reality, France's financial crisis had been building for decades. Ministers and nobles controlled most economic policy. But complicated explanations don't spread well. Simple villains do. And the public had already chosen theirs. Then a scandal arrived that seemed to confirm everything. In 1785, a scandal shocked France. The diamond necklace affair. A necklace worth an enormous fortune, originally created for the king's former mistress. Marie Antoinette refused to buy it. She didn't want it. But criminals saw an opportunity. They forged letters pretending to be the Queen. They tricked a powerful cardinal into secretly purchasing the necklace for her. The cardinal arranged the purchase. The criminals stole the diamonds and vanished. When the truth finally emerged, Marie Antoinette had never been involved. She had been framed. But by then it didn't matter, because the story matched what people already believed. Greedy queen, luxury jewels, royal corruption, and once a public accepts that story, every new rumour strengthens it. By 1789, France was boiling. Bread riots, protests, political chaos. Crowds filled the streets demanding change. The monarchy tried to calm the situation, but revolutions move faster than governments. Soon thousands of protesters marched toward Versailles, hungry, angry, armed. They stormed the palace gates. Some broke into the Queen's private chambers. Guards were killed. The royal family barely escaped. Within days, the King and Queen were forced to leave Versailles, taken to Paris, placed under the watch of the revolution. For the first time in centuries, the monarchy was no longer ruling, it was surviving. In 1793, the revolution crossed a line that could never be undone. King Louis XVI was executed, the monarchy was finished, but the revolution still faced the same problems: food shortages, war on the borders, political instability. Fear spread everywhere, and fear creates pressure. People want reassurance, proof that the revolution has solved something, and revolutions solve that pressure in a familiar way. They punish someone. Marie Antoinette was still alive, which meant the story could still have an ending. Marie Antoinette's trial lasted 2 days. The verdict had already been decided. She was accused of conspiring with foreign powers, of secretly helping Austria attack France, of betraying the revolution. Some accusations were extreme. One charge even claimed she had abused her own son. The evidence was weak, sometimes non-existent. But the trial wasn't about evidence. It was about confirming the story people already believed. France had suffered, and the Queen had to be responsible. After 2 days, the court delivered its decision. Guilty, sentence, death. On October 16th, 1793, Marie Antoinette was placed in an open cart and driven through Paris. No royal carriage, no ceremony, just a prisoner moving through streets filled with spectators. Some shouted insults, some cheered, some watched quietly. Because revolutions create strange moments. Moments when a country convinces itself that one person represents everything wrong with the world. When Marie Antoinette reached the scaffold, witnesses said she remained calm. As she stepped forward, she accidentally stepped on the executioner's foot. She apologized. "Pardon me, sir, I did not mean to." Moments later, the blade fell. Marie Antoinette didn't destroy France. The country had been collapsing long before she arrived. Debt, political paralysis, economic inequality, a government unable to reform itself. But those problems were complicated, too complicated for a revolution searching for answers. So France did what societies often do during crisis. It chose someone to blame, someone visible, someone symbolic, someone the public could point at and say, "That's the reason everything went wrong." Marie Antoinette became that symbol, not because she caused the disaster, but because a nation needed a villain. And once a society agrees on its villain, their fate is usually already decided. Because history doesn't repeat itself. People do. Just like they did to a young girl in Rouen 300 years earlier.
Same old humans. If this story felt uncomfortably familiar, you're probably not alone. If you enjoy stories that prove people have always been like this, subscribe for more. Same old humans.